Mike Shriberg, Great Lakes Regional Executive Director for the National Wildlife Federation.
So this was an interesting Pipeline Safety Advisory Board meeting, and it was kind of confusing for me, and I think we want, and for others in the crowd too, because of the abstention situation. But what I want to start off with is, there were sometimes there isn't that much that happens or comes out of it. 3 motions passed today. So let's talk about those first. What exactly happened? What did you have to do with those motions?
Yeah, there were 3 motions that I supported and helped draft, and these 3 motions were really a direct response to Governor Snyder's backroom deal with Enbridge on this. Governor Snyder came out with the deal to Enbridge that actually, in my opinion, circumvented the very Pipeline Safety Advisory Board that he set up to advise him. So essentially, Governor Snyder did cut a deal with Enbridge. It's an interim deal, not a final one, but a deal nonetheless, without getting input of his board. So we basically said, well, here, if you had asked, here's what we would have said. So we did 3 different things. One that said that the weather conditions under which oil can be recovered are actually much narrower than in the deal. The deal says that only the pipeline is shut down if waves are continuous over 60 minutes over 8 feet. That's a ridiculous criteria. That's a ridiculous criteria because we know in waves over 3 feet, for example, that the equipment can't be out there and effective. We also know there are other conditions under which oil can't be recovered. So we asked the governor to rectify that.
And that motion passed?
And that motion passed.
Okay.
We also asked the governor to actually look into what alternatives are best for Michigan. The deal that the governor cut with Enbridge actually focuses on one alternative, building a tunnel under the straits. What we know is there is an ability to utilize existing pipelines and to substitute for the small amount of Line 5 resources that remain in the state. So let's just remember, there are easy substitutes for the few services Line 5 provides for Michigan. There is no substitute for the Great Lakes. So we asked the governor to look into what are the key substitutes available and do a deeper analysis on that. The third one was correcting another, I think, major flaw in this agreement. It didn't address the coding. Now we know that the coating on Line 5 has actually been, the term is delaminating, but the coating has been falling off. What we heard earlier in the meeting today from Enbridge is that the coating is falling off. Their own experts didn't predict this, didn't see this. The report actually said it's fine, and they don't know why it's falling off, and they haven't been able to complete all the inspections before wintertime. So we know that coating is actually coming off of the pipeline. We don't know why, and we actually aren't getting it corrected at least until the spring. That means that the pipeline is in violation of the easement with the state, and so the resolution simply says that the pipeline should be temporarily shut down until we know what's going on with the coating, until it's fully intact, which is a condition of the easement. So that's what we heard today.
And that motion passed, and what happens now? It goes to the desk of Governor Snyder, correct?
That's correct.
As in the form of a resolution.
That's correct.
And is it realistic that, I mean, he could look at this and go, you know what, they're right, we're going to shut this down. That is possible.
Well, the governor's going to take this under advisement, I would hope. I mean, it is a motion that passed the Pipeline Safety Advisory Board, set up to provide advice on this very thing. I would hope that the governor would take it seriously. It is advisory. It is a resolution. The governor is under no obligations to follow that, but you would hope that he would take seriously the advice coming from the board that he set up.
Can you talk to me just a little bit about other things that happened that we heard from Dr. God Meadows? Things are moving forward with a risk assessment. Are you feeling that, I mean, I know that you would like to shut down the pipeline. I mean, you know, on record saying that. Do you feel that there's a movement toward that now with the passage of these resolutions?
Well, I feel like we made progress today. We got the risk assessment back on track, and I appreciate what Dr. Guy Meadows came for today. We took it out of the hands of the industry folks, and we put it into the hands of the academics largely within the state. And that gives me confidence that it'll get done, and it'll get done well. And it's a critical piece of information that the governor and the attorney general need to make a final decision on Line 5. So I think we made progress on that today.
Anything else you'd like to say?
You know, the only other thing I'd say is that Enbridge gave a presentation today on the coding. Their goal was to reassure the board and the public. I came away with more questions than I started with because they weren't able to say why the coating is peeling off and what they're going to do about that. What happened is they commissioned formal studies that said their coating is fine. Almost by accident, they found areas where it's falling off when they were looking for other things. That gives me very little confidence that this coating is going to stay intact over time, and that increases the urgency in my view.
Also, there was word about notification of a suspension cable that had dragged across the pipeline.
Yeah, that was new news, at least new to me, that we heard today, is that one of Enbridge's own boats, or one of their contractors' boats, actually snagged another line and then dragged it accidentally across line 5 and did some significant damage to the coating. And you'll note they said it wasn't immediately reported to the state because they weren't required to. They said that they did report, and I believe what he said was within a few days, but he did not know of any reporting requirement to the state. So the state did not find out right away.
Anything, do you think you're just going to see any action before, say, the summer on line 5, before this team of academic researchers comes out with a report? Do you think there's something that will happen before next August?
I would be foolish to give you a prediction. If you had asked me a few weeks ago if we were going to see any action, I would have said no, and then the governor came out with an agreement. So I'm not about to predict what will happen before the summer.